regrettably, it seems that Ethan Klein has decided to try to cancel Jordan Peterson, or as good as. And despite having interviewed, of course, Jordan Peterson in 2017 to cast a light on the hysteria being peddled about his resistance to Bill C-16, H3H3's Ethan Klein has decided to posture his allegiance with the woke zeitgeist at Jordan's expense. Now, before we look at this unashamed pandering, which makes for pretty difficult viewing, it'll probably be...
You're providing a trigger warning because it's cringe.
Trigger warning, it's really cringe. Let's first take a glance at the nature of the debate in 2017 when they were on the subject of the humongous incident.
This person came and asked him his name, and, you know, he didn't know who she was, and he made this, you know, joke. And then she went completely crazy and really tore a strip off him. And I thought, I mean, it was like she wasn't paying any attention to the actual reality of the situation. I mean, I think you went and interviewed him in the corner store where he worked, wasn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's this like working class guy. He's in a corner store. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. All of a sudden, this hyper intellectual radical feminist just jumps on him and just has a fit. It's like
nobody's ready for that.
No, well, yeah.
No one's equipped to deal with
Hardly
that.
anybody enjoys it either. That's a funny thing. And then I followed up what happened after that, you know, with your fundraiser, which I thought was really cool, and also with her sort of justification videos. And I used her as an example of someone who is basically possessed by ideology, you know, because as far as I was concerned, when I was watching her, there was almost no person there at all. There was just endless verbal outpourings of a formulaic view of the world, and she was willing to put this guy through hell. She never looked at him at all, not even once, really, to figure out who he was.
That's why I call it like the cult of outrage, because it does feel more like a cult.
Outrage.
People don't really of outrage because they're addicted to outrage, and they don't really think about. It's not rational. It's just they're possessed. I think.
Well,
that's a good
you
analogy.
get possessed by ideas, you know.
Let's read the comments, eh?
But the hell are we gonna?
That's the second video, but this was a time when H3H3 was actually more than watchable. As in, it wasn't.
And you can see the amazing value in that.
It for the most part sustained an apolitical lens. It quite liked poking fun at wokeists, if you like, social justice warriors, as they were more known then, when they were acting hysterically. And needless to say, you'd be very, very good lawyer to launch a defence of what's her name, the humongous lady.
The lady.
The lady, yeah.
It's not humongous.
Yeah.
For people who might not be familiar with that incident, it's amazing. You should go back. You're missing out on a gem if you aren't, but most people will be. But the amazing thing I found interesting was, you've seen it, I presume.
I have.
So it's a lady some guy comes out, he disagrees with her on building some police building or something, and he's like, yeah, what's your name? And he's like, wow, humongous.
Yeah.
And then she's like, that's sexual harassment.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, when he mentions that it was like there's no person there, that's true, but it was the fact that she didn't care what was true at all. She was only looking for a tactic, which is, how do I shut this guy down? I'll just call him a sexual harasser.
Yeah, she quite literally became an instrument for a political idea, and almost just surrendered to that, as in all of her agency to that. So she wasn't even engaging with what he was saying. It
was like she consciously and willfully gave up her own personality.
Yeah, exactly.
To be a political instrument.
And as I suppose you would do if you're a comic podcast, is just trying to make light of this and have a discussion with someone who actually, you know, has not only experience of these sorts of people, but is willing to have a laugh about it in a rational way as well. I mean, you have to when faced with people like this. But anyway, he's arrived at a very different position, or at least so it seems. He's gone from poking fun at incredulous behaviour and then almost being incredulous himself, as we will see in this video here.
Let's read the comments, eh?
What the hell are we going to do without men?
What are we going to do without men?
What are we going to do without men?
What in the country club is this? It's not easy. Only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally, whereas a man is only loved under the condition that he provides something.
Based.
it gets worse.
Bro, do you know what year it is? I'm pretty sure like almost 100% of all households, both parents work. You can hear the emotion in his voice. A man truly fighting for us. This is a man fighting for me. Where would we be without beautiful hard bodies? He's devolved. He's in the sewer.
Oh, no.
Where is a man to
It's too
save
deep.
me? I'm stuck in a sewer.
It's too deep, Jordan. Go
I'm
back.
stuck in a sewer. Somebody call a man to come help me out of here.
It's poopy water. You can't be in there,
Help
Jordan.
me. Oh, I see a woman. No. Send a man. I don't want help from a woman.
I'm deep undercover.
Oh, what the hell? It goes even deeper. Here he is as Super Saiyan during his speech. What the fuck?
We've met some of your fans, and we got the impression they were all male fans, the ones that we talked to, and that they were struggling with their manhood, and that you give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay. It's necessary.
It's not okay.
What the hell are we going to do without men?
Yeah, he's acting like he's someone he's never even met.
You had a podcast with the dude.
Yeah.
Also, he's making valid points, obviously. Like, I know there are a lot
Yeah.
of Jordan Peterson memes, and I enjoy them myself, but, like, the point that you need men, of course you do. Like, the point that he said, he's in the sewer, they'd send a woman. Well, what are the percentage chance that a woman is going to come and work in the sewers? And we know, by the applications.
Yes.
Zilch.
Yeah.
It's minuscule compared to the men who will do it. Also, your internet connection, buddy. All the rest of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so obvious.
I mean, the tone of this, I don't even want to call it coverage because it's not.
It's just childish.
It's childish and it's mean-spirited, to be quite frank. And I'm of course not trying to say that there should be a cap on humour, because no one can of course make that claim. But he must have known, or he must know, that Jordan Peterson went for a quite serious personal crisis, which led to him disappearing from the public eye for a very long time. To present him as a washed-up, zombified, sewer rat, like he just did, is really egregious.
Yeah, I don't think he's just having fun with the memes. I think it is a representation of like, haha, he's mocking the main thing of Jordan Peterson, which is his messages for men, essentially.
Yeah, and not only that, he's doubling down on beating men up and beating up a man who is trying to make a defense of men who are being beaten up. And in turn, he's pandering to those who want to take the mick out of Peterson. And this is what this is all about. It's just virtue. It's just virtue signaling.
Yeah. I love the idea that when men have to provide something. Well, don't you know that there are many households that are both working? Like, yeah, so what? Like, the woman could stop working if the man made enough. No one would care. And doesn't address the point whatsoever that men are not unconditionally loved.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that familiar with Ethan Klein, or at least wasn't. I enjoyed watching his coverage of the humongous stuff and other things as well. I'm sure I've seen, but from what I've heard, he's basically subjected himself to a complete reconceptualization of everything that he is and everything that H3H3 should do since George Floyd's killing, which applies for a lot of media outlets. Yeah. I mean, this isn't. He's turned out to be a complete and utter snake. There's no other way of saying it, really. I mean, for a start, he released an awful video about his experience with the police, basically claiming that he got off lightly for underage drinking or something like that, entirely because he was white.
Was this during George Floyd's riots?
It was in the aftermath of that, yes.
Right.
It was just a massive grand gesture about, I know what white privilege is. That's what that was about, essentially. And he's also, is also the person responsible for another YouTuber, Keemstar, losing his sponsorship with G Fuel after claiming that Keemstar was responsible for another YouTuber, Etica's suicide. And it was something along. I think Keemstar was it.
About this,
yeah, well, Keemstar, apparently this is a secondhand source, but Keemstar basically interviewed Etica and asked the question in a rather brash way. If you're feeling bad in yourself, how come you're still here? And Ethan Klein basically doubled down on that by basically saying, after Etica had sadly committed suicide, that you are in effect responsible and that you should lose your sponsorship for it. And ultimately, Keemstar did lose his sponsorship with G Fuel.
It doesn't seem to make sense.
No.
I can see some of the chat being like, well, actually, does Ethan Klein even get white privilege?
No.
I mean, according to the critical race theorist, the answer is no.
Anyone preaching about it is either not looking outside of the paradigm they're trying to impose, or is just virtue signaling and knows nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised that, because again, like I mentioned to you before we started, like I used to watch some of his stuff when, probably about the Humongous Time or whatever on occasion, but just since not too interested. But then the only thing I seem to see coming out of him is like that incident with Crowder, where they invite Crowder on. Crowder was like, yeah, I've got a position that we should question the data, and you have the position of we should trust the scientists because they know more than us, and we shouldn't question it. It was a weird debate topic, but whatever. And then he just had that Sam Cedar guy come on and represent him instead in a trap, and it was just like, yeah, but that's just dishonorable.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of what you think of Crowder, that's you smearing yourself in dirt. You know, being a dishonorable individual.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's also arguably a thief as well. I mean, did you remember the FUPA fund that he started?
No.
When he was basically in a copyright lawsuit with Matt Hoss, which he ultimately won, but he basically asked for funding from his own supporters, and said that once with the money left over, he would actually invest it in basically keeping this fund up to help other YouTubers. I suppose less. Not as big as his, with copyright claims. And ever since his own case was resolved, he's done absolutely nothing with it. So depending on how much money he actually made, he pocketed all of that money that people had sent to him in good faith.
Huh. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So stop watching Ethan Klein.
That's
Stop watching H3H3.
I mean, to be fair, I can't say anything positive about it because I just don't watch enough. But everything I seem to be is stuff like this. Like I'm mentioning, where it's just like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah. I mean, he himself looks more of a washed-up snake than he tried to present Jordan Peterson as in that sewer. I mean, look at him. What the hell is that hat?
Yeah.
Clean your roommate before you start criticising other people.
Yeah. You've seen Peterson's room.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the kind of Peterson rooms I do enjoy, where it's like, but it doesn't really mock his ideology though, because it's kind of,
it doesn't.
You have to be an idiot to not understand the point. And it's like, yes, you should start with yourself. That's the point of cleaning your room.
Yeah, I mean, I would still contest the idea that you can be beneficial to society and not be very good at looking after yourself. I mean, there are lots of examples of people who are terrible at looking after themselves and doing more for the greater good.
It's a good place to start, though.
It is a good place to start, and there are moral reasons for it too. Yeah.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full thing at 1 p.m. every weekday at lotuseaters.com, or you can sign up to get access to all the premium content we have on the site.
Yeah, we've got loads of really good stuff. Every week we have a Contemplations and Epochs episode that goes up, and in the Contemplations we talk about just interesting things, and the Epochs episodes are probably my favourite because I love talking about history. This latest one is we're doing a bit of a series on the 100 Years' War and why England kept winning. And we've not finished it yet, and you're going to really enjoy the end of that one. But we've also got other excellent episodes that we do, like the book club. The most recent one was Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell. This was about his time in Burma as a colonial officer, and when he was tasked with the shooting of a rampaging elephant. And it's really, really interesting what the circumstance of the thing was. But we also have lots of other content, such as premium articles, which have audio tracks on them for our silver and gold subscribers. And we do premium podcasts about things that we don't really feel that we can put on YouTube or have done a particularly large amount of research into. And so it's worth keeping them slightly more private. And we also do lots of very interesting interviews, such as this one with comedian Steve Hughes, which was really fascinating because I didn't expect him to be a philosopher. But anyway.
Yeah. Also, the last thing to mention is the live event content we have. So we occasionally, when we get around to it, doing our live events, and the videos from them are on the website as premium, of course, because people came to see and paid. So go and check that out. This is on the worst of critical race theory.
Yes.
And I do mean the worst.
It's unconscionable.
Yeah. So if you'd like access to all that premium content, go to lotuseaters.com and subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.